with Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Yesterday we saw the example of touchstone. How a touchstone can touch anything and convert it to gold, but still it remains as it is. Its own qualities or its own effectiveness does not reduce. And similarly, the Supreme Lord, although he's producing such huge material cosmic manifestation, everything is emanating from him. So many various energies are there. Still, the Supreme Lord remains in his own transcendental form as it is, without any deductions. The Mayavadi philosophers had the audacity to reject the purport of what Srila Vyasdev explained in the Vedanta Sutra and to say he attempted to establish a doctrine of transformation of the Supreme. So they are not only changing what Srila Vyasdev said, but they are changing the whole thing by saying that Srila Vyasdev has attempted to establish this doctrine of transformation of Supreme, which is totally imaginary. According to the Mayavad philosophy, the cosmic manifestation is an illusory transformation of the absolute truth, which has no separate existence outside the cosmic manifestation. So, according to Mayavadi philosophers, this cosmic manifestation is a illusory transformation, and outside of this, there is nothing else. The Supreme Lord Himself has transformed into this illusory cosmic manifestation. Outside of this, there is nothing. This is what the Mayavadi philosophers believe. But this is not the message of the Vedanta Sutra. The cosmic manifestation has been explained by Mayavadi philosophers as false, but it is not false. This manifestation is not false. It is true, but it is temporary. The Mayavadi philosophers maintain that the absolute truth is the only truth and that this material manifestation known as the world is false. Actually, this is not so. The material manifestation is not false, it is truth. But because it is relative truth, it is temporary. Pranav or Omkar is the chief sound vibration found in the Vedic hymns, and it is considered to be the sound form of the Supreme Lord. So, this is there in the Vedic hymns. Everything starts with Om. From Omkar, all the Vedic hymns have emanated. Therefore, whichever Vedic mantra we see, any Vedic mantra will start with Om. And the Vedic mantras, they have many rules and regulations to recite, which direction to face. So there are some rules and regulations that one must follow when we are chanting the Vedic mantras. But all the Vedic hymns, they have emanated from Omkar. And the world itself has also emanated from this Omkar sound. The sound, the vibration, Tat Tvam Asi, also found in the Vedic hymns, is not the chief vibration, but is an explanation of the constitutional position of the living entity. Tat Tvam Asi is actually also part of the Vedic hymn, and Omkar is the sound form of the Supreme Lord Himself. But the Mayavadi philosophers, they say that Tattvam Asi is the chief vibration. Actually, that is not the case. It is not the chief vibration, but Tattvam Asi, it only explains the constitutional position of the living entity. Tattvam Asi means that the living entity is a spiritual particle of the Supreme Spirit. Tattvam Asi. So, living entity is a spiritual particle of the Supreme Spirit. But this is not the chief motive of the Vedanta Sutra or the Vedic literature. The chief sound representation of the Supreme is Omkar. So these are all the Mahaprabhu is pointing out all the faulty explanations, all the misrepresentations, concoctions in the Mayavad philosophy, and he's pointing out each and every point of it. All these faulty explanations of the Vedanta Sutra are considered atheistic because the Mayavadi philosophers do not accept the eternal, transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. They are unable to engage in real devotional service unless somebody believes that the Supreme Lord has a form. What is devotional service? Devotional service is cooking for the Lord, doing shringar of the Archa Vigraha. See, because we are materially conditioned, therefore, because we are not in our pure spiritual form, therefore, with this material eyes, we cannot see the spiritual form of the Lord, isn't it? Just like Arjun, Krishna gave him the spiritual eyes to see his Vishwarup. Sanjay was given that special vision to see the Kurukshetra war. So, in our case also, we are not pure. Because if Arjun was pure, he was given that special vision. But because we are not pure, even in Narad Muni's case, we see that Narad Muni, he got the vision in his previous birth as the child of the son of the maid servant, when he was meditating on the Lord and what he had heard from the Vedantists, the Bhakti Vedantists. He was meditating on that, and once the Supreme Lord, he showed his form in the heart of this little child, Narad Muni, in his previous birth. We discussed the story, the not the story, the pastime. Um, so once the Lord revealed his form, and then immediately the form was again hidden. Then he could not see the form. And when he was again looking, and he again tried to sit in meditation to focus on that form of the Lord, he could hear the Lord, but he could not see the Lord. And what did he hear? What did the Supreme Lord speak to him? That, my dear son, because now you are not fully pure, therefore you will not get my darshan in this material form. But in the next birth, you will get a fully spiritual form, and you will eternally be with me after that. So what does this mean? That because we are not pure, because we are materially conditioned, therefore, with our material eyes, we cannot see the spiritual form, full fledged form of Krishna. So, Krishna very mercifully manifests as his Archa Vigraha, Gaur deities, or Gopal deities, Radha Krishna deities, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Maharani, all these different deity forms, they're Archa Vigraha. Archa means to worship. So Krishna very mercifully manifests in this form, either in they are carved out of wood or some metal. But one should not think that this is simply murti, idol, has no life, has no, is just some doll, doesn't have any real. One should not think like that, because Krishna is mercifully manifested in that form, and and if our devotion, if our love is pure and sincere, then Krishna will reciprocate through this Archa Vigraha. And what is devotional service? Serving the Archa Vigraha. We cook for Krishna. We offer it to the Archa Vigraha. We make nice garlands, and we adorn the Archa Vigraha with these garlands. We make nice dressing, nice shringar, putting nice jewelry on the Archa Vigraha. This is devotional service. Even if somebody is working in office, this is direct devotional service, of course. But if somebody is working in office, they are working with the intention that I'm working so that whatever I'm earning can be used for the service of Krishna. How? Whatever fruits, vegetables we purchase is for Krishna's service, because we are going to offer it to Krishna. With the vegetables, we are going to cook for Krishna. Okay, then what else? We can offer for Vaishnav Seva. Maybe I am unable to go to the Dham, but let me donate some Lakshmi in services of Krishna conscious activities. So these are all devotional services. Whatever we are earning, even that job or that what was mundane job at one point of time, that also becomes devotional service. Of course, it is indirect, yet it is a devotional service. So this is devotional service. When we are constantly thinking that everything is for Krishna, we walk to the temple, or even if we don't walk, we go by a two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or by some other vehicle. Going to the temple is devotional service. Seeing the deity of the Lord is devotional service. Then hearing about Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's devotees, this is devotional service. Sharing it with somebody is devotional service. Taking care of the family, understanding that they are all Krishna's part and parcel, and they are all very dear to Krishna. Taking care of them with that mood, that is devotional service. Even if it means that we sit together to watch a devotional drama, we are watching a drama and we are enjoying. This is devotional enjoyment. This is not mundane enjoyment. In a drama, if we are enjoying, we should not think that this is exactly like watching a Bollywood movie, because there also we enjoy, here also we are enjoying. No, there is a difference. This is transcendental enjoyment, and that is material enjoyment. That is sense gratification. This is Krishna's sense gratification. Because by watching that drama or by watching a video which is Krishna conscious, what are we doing? We are taking this information, and our love for Krishna, our affection for Krishna, our attraction towards Krishna and his devotees is increasing. This is real devotional service. But now, if somebody does not believe in the form only, that Krishna has a form, then what devotional service will they do? If somebody says Krishna does not have hands, Krishna does not have a mouth, Krishna does not have eyes, then what is the point of offering a bhoga to somebody, something? How we cannot even call somebody, because if someone does not believe only that they have a form, they have a body, spiritual body, then there is no question of devotional service. Therefore, these Mayavadi philosophers, they are never able to engage in real devotional service. Thus, the Mayavadi philosopher is forever bereft of Krishna consciousness. They can never become, their consciousness will never come to the point of Krishna. No Krishna consciousness and Krishna's devotional service. The pure devotee of the personality of Godhead never accepts the Mayavad philosophy as an actual path to transcendental realization. The Mayavadi philosophers hover in the moral and immoral material atmosphere of the cosmic world and are thus always engaged in rejecting and accepting material enjoyment. What does this mean? Mayavadi philosophers, they will read the Vedanta Sutra, the Vedanta scriptures, they will concoct, misinterpret, understand according to their own whimsical understandings, poor fund of knowledge, and then they will only hover on the moral, immoral. We should accept this, we should not do that. Oh, this is not good, that is bad. Rejecting and accepting material enjoyment. They will never go beyond material, because they have not accepted the spiritual. So therefore, they will never go beyond material. They will always remain in material platform. They have falsely accepted the non-spiritual as the spiritual. And as a result, they have forgotten the eternal spiritual form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as his name, his qualities, and his entourage. This entourage is very important. Entourage includes all the devotees, everyone. One who only accepts the Supreme Lord but does not accept his devotees, does not respect his devotees, are to be considered neophytes. Uh, a neophyte is one who will go to the temple and appreciate the deities of the Lord, but they will not be able to give equal respect and appreciation to the devotees of the Lord. That such a person is to be considered a neophyte. They consider the transcendental pastimes, name, form, and qualities of the Supreme to be products of material nature. Because of their so when Krishna is running in fear of Mother Yashoda running behind her, they consider it as material. Material. बच्चे मम्मी से डर के भागते हैं. So this Krishna is also ordinary. human being. He's also running because he's scared of mother. They don't understand that this is transcendental pastime. This is not a material pastime. Because of their acceptance and rejection of material pleasure and misery, the Mayavadi philosophers are eternally subjected to material misery. This is material pleasure, this is material misery. We accept this, we don't accept that. They will always remain on material platform and they will always be subjected to material misery. Devotees sometimes have um, stress, spiritual stress. In order to do some service for spiritual master, to fulfill some instruction of spiritual master, if we see um, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they took so much pain and tension to fulfill the instructions of their spiritual master. If we see the life of Srila Prabhupada, he took so much pain to fulfill the instructions of his spiritual master. Was there no stress, no worry, no tension? Of course, it was there. So much stress was there. But what kind of stress? There is spiritual stress. It is not some material stress. Material stress is, "Arey, mera kya hoga? My job, my family, my this, my that." Spiritual stress is, "Arey, this is Guru Maharaj's instruction. I have to fulfill this." Therefore, Srila Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, he is not ready to give up his body. So many times Krishna has come to take him. Please come. It's already time. You've done enough. No, 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 I cannot go with you. Once his surgery was going on, no, once some procedure was to be done, and Guru Maharaj was put on anesthesia. And in that anesthesia, while he was in anesthesia, Srila Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, recently it has happened. While he was on anesthesia, they were trying to put a tube in his mouth, or they were trying to put a channel or something. Please forgive me because I forgot the exact details. One must remember the details, but I've forgotten. So please forgive me for that. So it was a channel or a tube or something that was to be given to Guru Maharaj through the mouth, something like that. And in that anesthesia, Guru Maharaj, Srila Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, he started saying, "No, no, 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 no." So everybody thought that Guru Maharaj is saying, "No, you cannot put that channel. Don't put the channel." So the servants, they started explaining to Guru Maharaj that, "Guru Maharaj, see, this is important. This is required for your easy breathing." And but then Guru Maharaj after that did not say anything. He went into sleep. So the servant said, "Okay, now Guru Maharaj has understood, and so therefore Guru Maharaj has accepted. So he's not saying no, no." But when Guru Maharaj came to consciousness, external consciousness, and when Guru Maharaj came to consciousness, Guru Maharaj revealed this to his very personal, intimate servants that actually, again, Krishna had come to take me. And I was telling him, "No, no, no, I cannot go right now. There are still some instructions that I must be here and ensure that they are fulfilled that Srila Prabhupada has given me. This is a disciple." So then the servants understood that, oh, so Guru Maharaj doing no, no, no was not, and that too in anesthesia, was not because he was denying that don't put the channel, but because he was actually speaking to Krishna at that time. Otherwise, who does this in anesthesia? Nobody does it. Nobody can move in anesthesia. They're in such a sleep, deep sleep. So what is this? This is spiritual, taking spiritual pain, taking spiritual stress, we can say. This is not material. These are not material miseries. But Mayavadi philosophers and these kinds of persons, followers of Mayavad school of thought, they will be eternally subjected to material misery. Sahajiyas and all, they will be eternally subjected to material misery. So with that, we will pause here for today, and Krishna willing. So we have one paragraph left, but still, Krishna willing, we'll continue reading from tomorrow. So thank you very much for your kind association. Vansha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Shri Srimad Srila Jayapataka Swami Ji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. पिताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि
हरि हरि बोल
हरि हरि बोल।